Jessika founded Now Marketing Group in 2010. She's also founded Magnet Marketers, of which I was grateful to be a coach for an afternoon, and the Relationship Marketing System. She teaches comprehensive relationship marketing. She's one of my favorite people. She's just a light. Give it up for Jessika Phillips.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. All right. So yeah, I do work in relationship marketing, but I don't help people like on Tinder or anything like that. It's not that kind of thing. But I do help you score online. So, you know, see what I did there? But, yeah. Okay, I know you guys just got back from lunch, and I know what lunch can do to all the brain flow is now, all the blood is going to your belly. And so I want to wake us back up real quick and have an experience together. So if you guys would stand up with me. Real quick here, we're gonna do something to wake us up, get those endorphins going, get the blood moving. It was gonna be to get us warmer, but it's definitely got warmer in here, thankfully. All right, so I'm gonna ask you to do something. We're gonna stretch our arms up, take a deep breath in, and breathe out. Okay, now I know what everybody ate for lunch. Okay, so take a deep breath in, and breathe out. All right, and now we're just gonna follow this beat with me, okay? I'm gonna clap first, and then you guys are gonna clap again. We're gonna go faster. Faster. All right, good job, guys. Give yourself a hand. Now we're awake, right? We're moving. This conference is my first time here at this conference, but not my first time in San Diego. I love this city. But how many of you have been to this conference more than once? Awesome. How many of you, it's your first time? Yeah? That's awesome. I met someone actually in the bathroom. Bree, who's the girl I met in the bathroom? Come up here. This is your first time. I am not against bribery. And I met you in the bathroom. We had a good conversation. It's her first time here, but she took from influence from someone else to come to this event. So I want you to you told me how much you loved this conference. I want you to spread that on, buy somebody a drink tonight, and talk about the conference and bring some more people back. Good meeting you. Thank you. You're welcome. That's what this is all about. It's about having moments together. We all want to feel like we belong to something. And that's why you usually choose to go to a conference, right? Instead of watching maybe YouTube videos, or maybe you do both. But we all have this sense that we want to belong. I was at the beach last night having dinner, and we were talking about what's the next big thing? Is it chatbots? Is it video? Is it Facebook ads? Like, what do we as marketers need to figure out is that next big thing? We're not the only ones asking these questions, though. Companies like Coca-Cola, Intuit, research companies like Walker 2020 have been spending a lot of money trying to figure out customer behavior and how it's shifting. So they say the number one thing the customers are going to use as a deciding factor of why they choose one business over another is based on this one thing. Anybody have any guesses to what that one thing is? Relationships, customer service, testimonials. What does this all combined have to do with each other? Hint, it's the title of the presentation. Experience. Who said it? Whoever said it, we'll go on the honor policy. I got a prize for you as well. It's experience. So all the things that we're doing as brands come together as an experience. People want to have a connection with a brand, and it starts usually before they actually start even having a conversation with a brand. We're gonna dive into that. When we think of experience brands, always the first thing that comes up when I say, what kind of company offers experiences? And people usually shout out, Disney, right? Disneyland, it's great, yeah. Yep, Disney, they are prideful on providing exceptional experiences. That's why people will go in there, they'll run in, like my little girls, and they'll put the Mickey Mouse ears on, and because they know they belong. They are part of something when they're there. This company is all about experience. One of my favorite quotes is from Walt Disney, and he says, do what you do so well that people want to come back and see you do it again, and they'll want to bring their friends. If we could all apply this one quote to our business, no matter if you're B2B, B2C, it does not matter. Do what you do so well and take pride in it that people want to come back and see you do it again and bring their friends. We hear about the KLT a lot. We've heard it a couple times here today. The know, like, trust. If people know, like, trust you, they will do business with you. But I like to add that little R on there because it's one thing to do business with someone, but it's a whole other thing to be confident enough in that brand to refer them to your best friend, your mother, your coworker, because now your name's on the line. So we need to think a little bit further on that know, like, trust. What are you doing that's exceptional that gets that R in there, that referral for repeat referral business? Because if somebody loves you, they're going to stick with you, and they're going to refer their friends. Here's when everything shifted for me. This is my 3 little girls. This was taken a while ago, but this is that Tom Cruise on the couch moment. They get so excited, they're like reenacting it. Lily, Macy, and Brees. And this is when everything shifted for me. So I worked in corporate America for a while. We heard about some old technology, the dial-up internet earlier today from Chelsea. Well, I worked at Verizon when I was trying to convince people with the big phones, when we got the smartphones, that you'd be using it for text messaging and picture messaging. And people are like, I don't need a phone to do all that. I just need it to make phone calls. And I'm like, I promise, like, it'll be great. But I had to, even though I thought I was a really great salesperson at the time, I had to come to the realization that I couldn't convince anyone that they needed something until I started asking them questions first. What does a day in their life look like? How would they be using their device? Lo and behold became our discovery process, the discovery questionnaire, where we just let customers talk. And they told us how they had kids that they were taking from soccer to practice to here and here. So I was like, great, this smartphone would be great for this and that. From there, I was promoted for coming up with this discovery questionnaire to work as a distribution partner. So I started working with mom and pop shops to help them work within their store to sell our products and services. There I learned that why people were coming into these mom and pop shops over coming into the big corporate offices was not because they had a big marketing budget. It was because of the team members that worked at that location that took the time to listen to the people that were coming in there, and they built relationships with them. Gratefully, this is a time, because these companies literally had no marketing budget, when social media came around. And we realized that we could take that in-person experience, the way people loved coming into the small mom and pop shop, and we could put that online and show what it's like to be in that store, how they took care of their customers. Their customers were able to give referrals. So I was like, you know what? This is fun. Like, I love this. I found my jam, right? I love this relationship stuff. So I started Now Marketing Group and started helping companies do the same thing. How can you make better relationships with your customers and not focus on that one-off sale, but focus on how can I build a relationship and keep a customer for life? Social Media Week Lima. So first of all, Social Media Week Lima, this is a conference that I hold, and it is not Lima, Peru, although I think that's why a lot of people first looked it up, because they thought it was in Lima, Peru, but it's in Lima, Ohio. Population 32,000. Mike Alton's laughing. He's like, that's how she got me there. Okay, so this is a conference that I hold annually, and a population 32,000 right there. And our closest airport, people, is like 2 hours away. Like, literally, it's sad. It's so sad. We're known for trains and cornfields. But how could I get 18 speakers, just like Tyler's, brought in several speakers to this event and people to this conference in this little small town? It all started with something I like to call social media marketing world. Whoop, whoop. I knew I'd get a shout from Emily over there. I started out there, and I went to this conference, and it is literally like a sea of people. Anybody been to that conference? Raise your hand. It's an amazing, amazing time. It's like you feel like you're with your people, and it is a great time to connect and learn from others. Oh, I lost my slides. But I'm like, how am I going to go into the sea of people and make relationships? Do we often feel that way when you're setting up a social media profile, or you're just getting started on business, or you're taking on a new campaign, where you're like, how am I going to reach people when it's just me, and I'm going out there trying to find all these people? Sometimes it's not about the macro, it's about the micro. You have to think, how can I make micro moments that will then grow from there? So what I did, instead of looking at this big sea of people, is I thought, I'm here to make connections. How can I make a micro connection? So I became known as the S'mores Lady. I started having private parties on the 4th floor of the Grand Hyatt and just inviting some people to come have s'mores with me, where we could have smaller, meaningful conversations, and from there it grew. From there, I'm like, hey, you got to meet so-and-so. I just met them yesterday at s'mores. Or hey, you got to talk to them. They offer the service that you're trying to provide. We can do the same thing within our brands because you want to be known as a connector, a person that brings people together to have an experience. Everything we've been told about marketing is kind of wrong. They say you have to shout your message out so loud so everybody can hear you, and you have to spend money, lots of money, in order to be heard, and it's all about who's the loudest in the room. If we can reverse our thinking and say, how can we become a magnet and just draw the right people into us and get them to stick, versus trying to shout our message out? What do we have to offer, and who are we trying to offer it to? 60% of the buying cycle is over before somebody even talks to a representative at your brand. They're on this journey. We heard about it earlier. People are looking for answers to their questions that they have. They're asking their friends, their peers, who do you know that can do this? Facebook even has a built-in now for recommendations. So before you even have a chance to talk to them, people are already on the hunt for an answer to solve their problem. And they may not know that your solution can solve the problem. They may not have connected the dots yet. So how can you find people and let them know what you're doing and how you can solve their problem if you haven't talked to them yet? The world is smaller. We have more options than ever before at our fingertips, the Amazons of the world. As a consumer, they can literally search and find anything that they want. So it's not that we need more tools to help us. It's that we need a better technique to reach our clients. It's not the tools. You don't need another tool. And there's no 1, 2, 3, 4-step process to you getting more customers. It's literally just technique and having meaningful relationships with it. It's about caring. And this is an acronym. We are going to break it down. But if we simply apply the caring practice to your brand, we can get more customers and get them to stick with us longer. Caring stands for capturing their attention, articulating your message, because our whole goal is to get repeat referral business, so people have to know what you do and why you do it, how you do it, being relationship focused, and providing exceptional experiences. Capturing attention. What does that mean? How can somebody find you online? You first have to know, who am I trying to connect with? If you're in business to help everyone, you're in business to help no one. You have to decide, who is my top buyer personas? How many of you have created buyer personas in here? Raise your hand. Great, a good majority of you. So buyer personas are semi-fictional characters that represent real people that you're trying to help. HubSpot has a great tool called makemypersona.com, where you can literally get the questions there and help craft personas. The reason why you want personas in your business is because when you're writing content, it shouldn't feel like you're writing to no one. It should feel like I'm writing to you. And if I know that you're my persona, I'm going to use a tone of voice and a conversational tone that I'm trying to connect with you. When I'm writing social posts, if you read it out loud, it should feel like you're having a conversation. That's actually something I do with my team members. When they're writing social posts, they write their 30 days in advance, but then I ask them to go read it out loud. If it wouldn't sound natural, if I'm reading out loud to you and it sounds like a robot, cut it, try it again. Just rewrite it, right? Replan it. You're talking to other humans. So personas help you visualize the person on the other end of the screen that you're trying to connect with and build a relationship with. Because attention is more than views, it's permission. You now have permission to start building a relationship with someone. They're giving you permission to influence them. So if you think like some of the creators we've seen in this room, these are my girls now, today's age, but that's all they watch. They don't watch television. They've had now the attention, or the influencers have had the attention of them for a while now. And we all have creators that we follow. And why do we love them? It's because they're making content specifically for us, and they're giving us access to things that we maybe would not have had access to. So if you think about that for your brand, how can you provide access to the people that you're trying to connect with, your ideal audience, to make them feel like an insider into your company, your organization, or something that they care about? Once you have their attention, they're giving you permission to influence them. So I love Tyler's quote, everyone is an influencer. to a few people, at least, right? Who remembers this lady? Not your typical influencer, right? She was a mom. She was just going live. And then what happened? Who knows the story? She was going live in her car. She had a Chewbacca mask on. And she was having a good old time with that Chewbacca mask. And we all laughed with her, right? Because she made us feel something. She was not a marketer, a salesperson, anything, but she did influence a buying decision because that mask started selling off the shelves where she was at. And then she was actually in social media marketing world last year. It was crazy, and she's been into all kinds of shows. So everybody can be an influencer if you just lead with trying to provide something that's interesting to your audience or funny. You have the power to be a broadcaster at your fingertips. How many of you in here have a smartphone, right? All of you are broadcasters. Did somebody say no, they didn't have a smartphone? I was like, oh. I got you. I know some Verizon people still. We can hook you up. But if you're not comfortable in front of the camera, use something like HubSpot does. They do a great job with connecting with video in a way that is using nostalgia, right? Because they know that that's their audience. And they're using tools just to create videos that are interesting and educational for their audience. So it's not like you have to be the face of the video, but you can still use video. Actually, Cisco states that by 2020, 80% of the web is going to be video. I know we had some sidebar conversation last night with a few people. They're like, video is never taken over. But if we look at some of the trends with social, it is leading that way, right? Everything is leading to more visual content. So just think, how can I make my content more interesting to capture attention of my ideal audience with video? The A is then all about articulating your message, making it stupid simple to explain what you do. Because if we want referrals from our clients, they have to understand what we do, and they have to be able to repeat that to someone else. This person's known for podcasting. This company is great at design. Whatever that is, making it stupid simple, a couple sentences to repeat. The best way to know if you've articulated your message is actually ask your team members, what do we do here? Literally, just ask them, what do we do here? And see what kinds of responses that they give you back. If they don't all give you a very similar response, then you probably need to work on crafting your message, because then your clients don't have it down. 77% of conversations that are happening online are brands usually looking for answers to solve a problem or information. So our goal is to be the answer that solves that problem, but articulating it in a way where they understand how we're helping them solve that problem. There's 4 ways to create content. You have to decide what lane you like to be in. Sometimes it overlaps. Like Owen is freaking hilarious in his videos. Like that's not me. Like I'm more like the teacher, like let me help you over here, and I'll give you some screen shares. But like that's not my jam, right? But he does it really well. So you can either do one of the 4 E's in your content style. You can educate, engage, entertain, or set yourself as the expert like in your field. Like literally his name is Owen Video. Like I don't even remember his last name half the time. I'm like, it's Owen Video. I mean, Hemstad. Yeah. Sorry. Are they listening? I was just kidding. Yeah. So think of what your 4E is. Because if your content is not doing one of those 4 things, then it's probably too salesy and it's not really right for online. It's not to say you can't still sell, but you want to make it feel like you're not trying to, if that makes sense. We are curious human beings. We like to look for answers online. We want to find the solutions to problems. We want to research. So the content that you have and that you're putting out, make sure that it's searchable, findable too. It's great to have Facebook posts, Twitter content, all of that. But like we heard earlier with YouTube and blogging, you want to make sure that if somebody's searching online, that they can find your content. So your home base, we were actually just mourning about Blab back here. Anybody was on Blab before? Oh, I'm still so sad. I love that platform. And Vine, 2 of those things. If I know, okay, now this is California knows. They're the Vine place, all right. So that's awesome. But if that taught us anything, it's that social media platforms can come and go and they can change, right? You have to have your home base that still has answers that you own and you can control. Learned about Facebook ads that we're now going to have to spend more to get more attention. So it's not that you can't be the answer and create content and articulate your message on all these other networks, but you still have to have it on your home base where people can find it and get to it easily. Articulating your message also means making your story and your answers about the customers that you serve because they want to be interested in it. And nothing sounds sweeter to any of us than our own name, right? Or seeing your own face on something. When you make it about the other person, that's when they care and want to share your content. So think about how can I make the customer the hero of our stories or included in the content that we're trying to produce. NASA, State of Social, do any of you guys follow that? Or am I the only nerd in here? Okay, I'm the only nerd in here. That's okay. NASA, what they do is a great job on social, one, but two is they let their customers tell their story for them. So they do something once a year, or maybe once every other year, called the State of NASA, where they pick 30 people from the US to go to certain locations. So I went to Huntsville, Alabama, and they showed us everything about NASA, how it worked, all the nuances, like everything that you could do there. And I was like geeking out, right? Like I loved it. And what that allowed their fans to do then is create content for them. What were we talking about all day on our social channels, creating videos about, was their content. And then NASA was able to share it. That is definitely one way of making your customer the hero. And you're building in user-generated content at the same time. Just one example. Another example is getting your team members involved to articulate your message. We work with a lot of developmental disabilities locations. And so instead of talking about all the things that go on there from our perspective, we said, you know what, let's talk about the people we serve. Let's tell their stories, the team stories, and have that then shared online. People were falling in love with some of the people that were being served. And their friends and family, what do they do when they see that post go out? They're sharing it, because that's their neighbor, that's their friend, that's their coworker, their colleague. So think about how can we tell the story from our customer's perspective or get our team involved or build in for user-generated content. That's all part of articulating your message. The R is my favorite. It's all about the relationships. So how can you create relationships for repeat referral business? How can you be focused more on doing more for your customers that you already have than trying to win the new business? We spend a lot on marketing to try to target new leads, but we don't spend a lot of money on trying to keep the people that we have already today, right? What if that shifted? We all know the customers that are with us spend more. They are the 80-20, right? They are the 80%. And they're more likely to refer us on if they're loyal. So how can we build in for relationships? Relationships will always be more powerful than marketing. And we heard it before, if we stopped counting likes on the new things that we're trying to do and start counting the conversations that we're having, then it stops and pauses what we're creating and to say, how can I use this content to start a conversation? How can I make someone dedicated to responding to the conversations of people that are tweeting at us online? Maybe taking the extra step and making it a video message. If you get a direct reply back from a company, especially a larger company or even a smaller company, if they notice you and take the time to make something personalized to you, that says something, and that's memorable. That's an experience. They're creating an experience with you. And they have taken the time to make something personalized, specific to you. Relationship can also mean collaborating with the people that you know and that your personas would also appreciate, whether it's somebody directly in your space or not. The top picture is the Magnet Marketers, where I work with Mike Gingrich every Tuesday. We do a live show, and we just teach on what's new in social, or we bring in experts like some of the people here in this room to talk about what they know and what things are trending. He owns a marketing agency as well, or a president of a marketing agency as well. So some people are like, what do you mean you're working with the competition? It's not competition. We're both providing value and we're building relationships with others online. You can also use the power of collaborating your content together. So think about your industry. So I'll give you an example, real estate. We worked with a real estate company and we said, okay, we know your audience wants to sell their homes faster and smarter. So we said, what else would help them do that besides just, your agents? So we reached out to home stagers and home inspectors and said, provide us your very best tips on what people are looking for to sell their home faster. We took all that content together and created one blog post and then made tweets out of it. From there, who do you think shared that blog post out? All the people that were asked to contribute in it. The same thing can go with building relationships with your audience. We worked with a landscaping company, and we asked people their favorite gardening tips. They all commented, and then we turned the comments from the fans into social posts. Just think creatively on how you can build better relationships. Again, the NASA example. How can you create raving fans for your brand? How can you get them to talk about you and want to care and share your content? Building relationships can also mean sharing content that's already created. I like to use this 10-4-1 rule when creating content. So out of every 15 posts that I put out, 10 will come from curated sources because I know my audience would also care about Tyler's podcast. I know they'll also care about Social Media Examiner stuff. I know they'll also care about HubSpot stuff. So instead of asking my audience to go follow all these things, I'm going to curate it on my channel and have it right there and be known as the source of information that they can go to and find that information. So that's every 10 out of the 15. The 4 comes from your own blog, your own video, your own helpful content, sharing that. And then the 1 is your soft call to action. So that's, hey, I have this webinar, this event going on. I would love to have you participate in that. When you can use this balance, then you're building a relationship with others and people within your community. Other part of relationships is personalizing things. Again, we talked about the easy things like just responding back to people. Instead of just liking their comment back. Personalize it to them. Add something fun in there. Make it memorable. Video reply on Twitter. Which also means that you have to get your whole team involved in the social process. Or something like this, an easy way. We send cards, personalized cards to clients that we work with, and we have our clients do the same thing on some of the anniversaries, things like that. Or Sugar Wish. Anybody in here heard of Sugar Wish? Isn't it awesome? Yeah. Okay, so what it does is you can send literally a digital e-vite to a candy store to someone with a personalized message, then you would go in, pick out the candy that you like, literally like an adult in a candy store online. And then it ships back to you in this little cute box with a ribbon, and it's all personalized to you. So not only are they having the fun and the excitement of going and getting it, then the second one, when you actually get something in the mail that's not a bill, it's so fun. Adulting is perfect, right? Or making customized gifts for our clients. This was just a customized thing that we did for our speakers. We made bobbleheads of all of them. And it turned out that was kind of the big hit of the conference, and I'm pretty sure why they all agreed to speak in Lima, Ohio, to get a customized bobblehead. But just taking that little extra effort to do something extraordinary. Make it a human experience company. How can we make it a better experience for all the people that we're serving? And it's the little things like that. Again, the best marketing does not feel like marketing. So it shouldn't feel like that. It shouldn't feel like you're trying to get sales. It should feel like we're literally building relationships. It is definitely a long game. I'm not going to say you're going to start doing this and you're going to get sales right away. But if you start treating your customers better that you have right now than you do some of the new people that you're trying to get in, they will become your marketing army for you. They will become your sales reps for you. They will refer you on. The E is all about exceptional customer experiences. Again, how can we make sure that during that 60% of time where they're on this buyer's journey where they haven't talked to a sales rep at your company, that they're still having a great experience with you? It literally starts from even before they talk to you, which means that all your information, kind of bare bones basic stuff, has to be accurate. If you're closed on a certain holiday, make sure you're updating that stuff online. There's nothing more frustrating, Starbucks, when I show up at your location, really wanting coffee, although the coffee here, that green tea one, that was amazing. But show up there and it says they're open online, and I get there and it's not open. Like, that's super frustrating. So nobody at that office did anything wrong, but yet I still had a bad experience with that company. Your website loading issues. Website just being outdated in general. Chelsea touched on that this morning. That kind of stuff is frustrating for your customers. They want speed, convenience, ease of use, and they want it now. Everyone does. They want the things to be delivered on time. People expect you to do what you say you're going to do. That's just expected. But going above and beyond is what is going to stick and what's going to be remembered. Like McDonald's. They made their Happy Meals into VR cardboard headsets to create an experience, right? They've been putting toys in their Happy Meals forever. But they now know they're staying in touch with their audience and doing things a little bit more creative to create an experience. What can you do within your company to create an experience? 19 Crimes. Anybody have this bottle of wine? You did? Come here. Yeah. All right. You got it. So I did not ever hear about this wine. That's literally $19.99. You're going to buy a bottle tonight and have some fun. Okay. So 19 Crimes. What they did with this wine bottle, so I'd never heard of this wine before, and I do like wine. I never heard of this bottle before until I seen one of my friends' Instagram posts, and they were literally this wine bottle. You put your phone in front of it, and it literally comes to life. Like, you have to download the app, but it tells the story of the person that had this crime that was committed, and it's bringing it to life. Talk about an experience. We started buying these things like crazy and giving them to clients because we wanted them to have the experience too. Like, it was amazing. Talk about game changer for them. Like, their sales profits increased like crazy. All for investing up front to get the return later. You guys are all gonna go buying wine now, right? And 18 Crimes. Just invite me. No. But just think about how you can create your own art. It's scary. Like, when I ask everybody to stand up and then start clapping, usually I see people look right and left. Like, they don't want to stand out too much. You don't want to be noticed in a crowd. You want somebody else to do things sometimes first to make sure it's safe. But I promise you, if you take risk and create your own art, you will be rewarded. Not always right away, but you will be rewarded. Just stick with it. Consistency always pays off. So don't give up too early, but think, what kind of risk can I take to make an exceptional experience for my customer? How can I stand out as a company and organization? And you don't have to have a huge budget to do it. It's literally brains over budget. If people love working with you, they're going to insist that their friends do business with you as well. Ask yourself, how can we create a better experience overall for our customers that we serve today? Who are they? Who do we want to build a relationship with? And how can we start that? Whether it's just creating a Facebook group where you're having a more intimate conversation with them, whether it's making a dedicated podcast to serve them on something that they're interested in, just start something, because this is where we're heading. People want to have a better experience with the company. Think like a magnet, not a bullhorn. How can I attract more people to me and not me trying to shout out? At the end of the day, the relationships will be your greatest currency that you have in business, and that's how you will get referrals. This is HX, which stands for Human Experience Era. And it's time we start a conversation of how companies can get more involved with their customers that they're serving. From the janitor to the CEO, everyone is in this human experience era. Thank you guys for your time.
I definitely would like to know more about my janitor. Just generally speak, he's a nice guy. Yeah. He's a nice guy. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I didn't know if we had time for questions or not.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Do we have time for questions? Any questions in the audience? Let me know. And look at that, hands right up. Mm-hmm.
Hello. I just have a quick question. How much would you recommend a brand let their customers drive the experience, through reviews or interactions? How much control should we really give the customers in terms of their experience?
Yeah, great question. I would start with your loyal customers that you know that you have, that they're maybe not even the most profitable, but profitable that also refers you on the most, and literally have like a one-off conversation with them. Like, what would you change about us? What did you like about us? How did you get to us? And then reward, their time presenting. Not necessarily like give them rewards for like giving you reviews, but just pick their brain. That's like case study environment where you can learn a lot and change some things within your company. And then create maybe a VIP experience for some of the additional customers that you serve, whether that's creating a Facebook group and having them like first to know about your organization, but depending on what you do. What do you do? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So what we did, like in some of the universities that we worked with, is we picked some social media ambassadors right within the school, and we had them like do takeover days, things like that, and where we just had like an internal battle with them, but they got to literally take over the experience. It freaked everyone out at first. Like the dean was like, I don't know, like he was monitoring it. I was thinking it's the first time he checked Instagram in forever, but. Yeah, it's a slower beast in that kind of industry. However, now they're all on board. Like he took a selfie at Social Media Week Lima. It was great. So you will get there. But yeah, create some social media ambassadors right there from the students and the professors, getting them involved with it.
You got time for one more?
Hi. So one of the challenges that I personally have working with clients is that they don't know who their target audience is or that ideal client, or at least they think they know. It's usually between 18 and 50 years of age or something like that. Yeah. Very broad. Yeah. So how...
People that are alive.
Yes,
today.
People that are alive. They live on Earth. They eat, breathe. So how can we take them through the process? Because I'm not their marketing department. How can we walk them through that process of, really narrowing that down and coming up with a realistic, persona so that we can help with the social media?
So if you're not their marketing department, that's fine, but you can still give them like the makemypersona.com link, but it's asking questions like, okay, that's great, these are your people, but what kinds of problems, what does a day in their life look like? What kinds of things would they be searching online? What kinds of things are they following online? What are they listening to? Because if they're listening to certain things and they're following certain things online, then that's also things that your brand wants to be aligned with, or their brand, I should say. What's their main goals and what's their main objections? Because answering the objections right out of the gate then will help overcome some of that time where they're on that 60% where they're not even talking to you yet, but you're already addressing the problem that they perceive that maybe they're going to have with your company, right? And then the goals, their goal, like for me, for example, when we work with people for social media, they're not hiring us to do their social media. They're hiring us for ideas and consistency, right? So that's their main goal. It's not to have somebody manage my social media. So until we realize that, you can't create content that represents how you're going to help.
Right on.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. You were great.